Good Lord, I have no choice but to use the wide lens today. This car is huge. It's all the way in the bay and it sticks out by almost 2 feet. Anyway, I fired this thing up yesterday to wash it because I agreed to shuttle some friends that are getting married today from their actual ceremony at their home to a fancy hotel for some photos, whatever, yada, yada, yada. I pulled this thing out yesterday, and halfway out of the garage, the car jammed itself from reverse back into park. Weird, okay? Hasn't been driven in a little bit, so do it again. Same thing. Third time's a charm, got it working, but I pulled it forward into the wash bay, and the same thing happened at like 5 miles an hour, and you get that really characteristic, like, teeth grinding on the D-drum or whatever they call that thing, putting it into park at speed. I don't know, it happened in first gear as well. Once I got back, I shifted it from reverse into drive a couple of times just to see, and it went into trans failsafe program. So today I'm going to pull the intermediate plastic plate off, and I'm going to check the fluid level on the ZF6HP32. Same process as the 19 or the 26, the much more common lower end transmissions. I am going to service this thing. I'm going to put a fluid filter, mechatronic seal, bridge gasket. I'm going to change the solenoids on it. I will do all that, but I need to be able to drive this today without worrying about it. So I am going to check the fluid level. I'm pretty sure I have Pentosan ATF1 here. In fact, I see it over there on the shelf, so it should be good there. And I'm just going to cross my fingers. I really do not want to hurt the transmission on this, and if there's any... if I think that that's possible, I won't drive it. But anyway, the Phantom is up in the air. A little intimidating because of how huge it is. But, wow, look at that, 4 mufflers. It's got a fin differential cover. Basically a race car. So we've got, and the dripping is actually from me yesterday. 8 mils, and then it looks like 2 10s in front. So let me rip those off real quick. And I'm actually going to leave that panel off because this is also due for an engine oil change. So again, this wetness, that was me yesterday. I was going to check it, but then I remembered that you don't check it with the drain plug, even though the drain plug is like 2 inches deep. The fill plug, right there. So I'm going to get my my FLIR out, check the pan temp. I've only run this thing for about 4 minutes today, but it was 92 degrees in here Fahrenheit overnight. And these really shouldn't be above... ideally 100 Fahrenheit when you're checking them. So I'm going to get my fluid pump ready. I'm going to get my 8mm hex ready. I'm going to get my fluid ready. And then after that, I am going to start the engine and get the car back up in the air. And I'm hoping that we do find that it is a little bit low on fluid. Okay, so we want 30 to 50 C. We're actually in great shape. So the fluid's probably a hair warmer than 26, but by the time I get this thing back up into the air with the plug off, we should be getting near the fill temperature. Well, we already hit 30 C. That's the bottom threshold, so I'm going to go for it. No fluid. That's actually a great sign. All right, now I need to do reverse, first and second, a couple times, and then check it again before the trans gets too hot. That was a much more confident reverse engagement, so I'm feeling good about that. Just gonna take it for a test drive here. This car has 39,600 miles on it. It's hilarious to me that it needs transmission service this young. Okay, so far so good. Don't tell anyone, but I actually used the Pentosan standard viscosity Mercedes transmission oil because I did not have ATF1 on hand. Hold on, let me buckle my seatbelt. Even though we're on private property, Rolls Royce. Let's put it in low first. Okay, she feels good. I'm confident that I can take this today. I'm gonna take it out just on the highway real quick to get to 6th. Do my quick little loop. the rest of this video is going to be pretty boring, so if you want to switch away to something more interesting, I suggest you do that now. I will say, yesterday was a little bit of a nerve-wracking event, though. Coming out to this car and having transmission trouble, getting that fail-safe program light, like, come on. Of course it's the car where I told everyone, like, well, I don't drive automatics, and if the transmission ever goes wrong, I'll manual swap it. But, I mean, the truth of the matter is I only own, like, a fifth of this car. And it's not titled in my name, so I can get away with it. I'm actually gonna go get gas. That was all 6 gears though. It feels fantastic. So I'm very happy about that. Well, everything seems good. I'm still gonna be fully servicing the transmission, but at least I think I'll be all right for today. And I won't damage this extremely hard to find 6HP32. So I really still don't want to deal with this, but if I don't get it done, it's not going to get done. So it's a nice day. I have cars out, and I've been waiting for this for quite a while, because if you guys remember, it doesn't even come close to fitting with the door shut. So I have to leave the door open the entire time I do this wrench session. And today, I'm going to be pulling apart the bottom half of this ZF6HP32 6-speed auto box. There is a gasket on top of the valve body that deals with fluid pressure, and I'm pretty sure that's hosed, but it could also be solenoids. So I have both, and I'm going to do kind of a valve body rebuild, ideally, on this, and I hope it goes okay, because I can't close my unit now. Ugh, wish me luck. I hate automatics. The oil looks surprisingly bad for 39,000 miles, so yay, hopefully everything's okay. All right, so we're still draining. I got almost everything pulled out. I did start separating the actual pan filter assembly from the trans. I just want to drain this out as much as I can, and I can get a little bit more tilt out of it if I take out the bolts just a little bit. So I'm gonna fully drain it. The oil down here is actually looking pretty good. Doesn't smell terrible, so I think we're okay. Yeah, the first oil, this definitely needed a service at 39K. So if on the off chance you're watching this and you have a Phantom, just go ahead and service it. Woof, duh. So I'm gonna let it drip dry a little bit more into the pan here. I don't wanna make a huge mess if I can avoid it. I keep hitting my head on the lift, which is awesome. Yay. Yay, yay, yay. I gotta go look up which of these bolts I have to pull out now. Okay, so next up I'm gonna remove the mechatronic plug, which is right up here. So there's a sleeve on the outside, counterclockwise, take the electrical connector out of it, and then we're gonna pull down on this bad boy, very gently like that, to release it. Not going to do it right now because I need to pull the plug off first, and then we will start actually pulling the E-plug all the way out of the transmission. That is needed to release the valve body from the case of the transmission. And then also I'm going to take a very clean towel, and I'm going to start wiping off all of the Torx head bolts, and I'm going to remove the larger size bolts. Here is a list of the sheets here. I have a shift by wire, so these are the ones I have to take out. Looks like there's a total of 10. Here's our old E-plug seal, and it had failed as well. When you reinstall these, if the top of this image is facing up with that little bump, the pin will be indexed at the 4 o'clock direction, just like that. So when you install the new one, you're gonna wanna do it that way. Worst part's honestly getting this little electronic plug out of the way, and you can see my seal was indeed failed. It's not supposed to be juicy. So definitely need to do all that. This pin is down just a little bit. Now I'm gonna go for the larger bolts on the valve body, and it'll have to drain out a little bit more as well. So it's gonna get messy, but the goal is to get that out and then on the table. If I didn't care about the cleanliness of the floor, this would be like twice as fast a job. It just never ends. It's still dribbling like 25 minutes later. So anyway, valve body's out. You can see the bridge seal. I'm pretty sure that's bad. And then all of those are supposed to protrude a little bit from the actual transmission clutch housing, and they're not. So we definitely have some issues. Lining up the mechanical portion of the gear selector assembly is really, really important. So I have to make sure that that goes back in exactly the same way that it came out. But honestly, everything in here looks okay so far. I'm gonna get this out once that stops dribbling. I don't really have a big pan to keep things in, unfortunately. So once I get this a little more taken care of, I'll get the valve body, in a place where we can look at it a little bit better. Then eventually we're going to be taking off this entire big black plastic mechatronic transmission plate. I don't know what you call it, but I hate this. I just wish it would stop draining. All right, drip drying a little bit more here. I've got my bin over there doing its best. But yeah, we're gonna have to take off this mechatronic plate. An hour in, still leaking. Anyway, I have the mechatronic plate off. Essentially the process to getting that done is you have to look at the front side of it and then flip it over and undo these Torx T27s where they need to be undone. Pay extra special care not to move this mechanical linkage, and it does interface right here. So when you reassemble it, although you can take out this range sensor and get all the magnetic shmoo off of it, which I do recommend you do, make sure that that is engaged and that's fully out, because right now there's a big old metal fork in the transmission right there. That's looking for it. So anyway, on to solenoids now. I do need to tip this over, and I need to pull off the Torx plate, and I'm going to label them as well with numbers. The new ones are different colors, but they do correspond to normally open versus normally closed and different pressures and things like that. So let's flip it over. We'll take a look. Ugh. All right, there we have them. So I'm going to take out those Torx by hand, and we'll get that plate off. I'll start pulling solenoids out. All right, so the new ones are blue, yellow, and orange. A little bit strange there. It looks like 6 doesn't get replaced, and 8 is gear selection. So I'll leave that one in there. All these actually look really good, so I'm pretty sure our issue is actually in the bridge seal or those little mechatronic shaft seals. So I'll change out as many of these as are compatible, but apparently that kit, which I ordered for this specific car, is not quite right. Well, some of the part numbers lined up, some did not. So I'm leaving these 3 solenoids stock. Those are a different part number, so I'm not going to mess with them. And the kit didn't come with a green one or a black one at all. So leaving this guy alone, the rest of them are new. So start putting this back together. I hate this. What a pain in the ass. All right, that actually went back on really, really nice. So I didn't tighten all of these little Torx down here fully yet, but it slid right back on, got everything tightened up just right. I am gonna tilt it back on its side, get these fasteners back in, tighten them up to the, I'll look it up, it's either 6 or 8 Newton meters. I think these are 6 and those are 8, but I will confirm. Okay, get that reconnected. There we are, all tightened back up. I gold marked all the bolts I tightened up here. And yeah, now it's time to do those seals in the actual transmission. I'll get those all pulled out, pulled off, but there's our before picture. All right, so looking at it from left to right, those are the mechatronic seals, and then this bridge is rock hard, and that goes up there. So I'm pretty confident that was indeed our issue. I'm gonna get all the new ones packed in there, and then we'll be ready to start pushing the valve body back up into the trans. All right, there we have it. So yeah, just gonna make special care to align that, but let's get this put back on. Holy banana Hannah. Well, you can see the shifter things all lined up. Dude, this sucks. All right, let's we'll get it all lined up, bolt it back up. Oof. Okay, got them all torqued down to 6 Newton meters, which is just under 5 foot-pounds. Let's do the E-plug and get that cleaned out real quick. Then I'm gonna go back through all my steps, make sure everything's good. And then, oh shoot, I gotta do the rear ones yet. Oof, can't forget those. So yeah, very gently, I was able to get all that back together, double checked everything. We're in pretty good shape. So yeah, at this point, I'm just gonna get the new pan set ready and we'll get all that back together. And then we'll start the arduous fill procedure. All right, I'm gonna confirm that that's all closed up. I did one of these once and that was not closed from the factory. So it's starting to leak trans oil, which is no good. Then I'm gonna pull the fill plug on the side right up here. Start filling it up static until it starts dribbling out. Then we have to start the engine, heat it up, pull the fill plug again after cycling it through park, reverse, and drive a couple times, top it up. Then we'll have to take it for a drive, shut it back off, cool it down a little bit, and then fire it up again, and then do that same fill process again. All right, the first round of fluid is in. Let's drop her down, fire it up, and shift it back and forth between park and reverse a couple times, and then fill it again. Oh, God. Okay, second static fill is done. What I'm gonna do now is disable the traction control if I can, and try to shift it through all the forward gears as well. Then I'm gonna put it back into neutral, bring it back up while it's running, and then we will attempt to do a fill once this has hit about 100 degrees Fahrenheit. It's 70 out right now, so it should take no more than a couple of minutes to get it up to that temperature, but it is important. Unfortunately, I don't think I have my thermal camera down here today. Really kind of a letdown. I will have a look for that real quick though. I was able to get it through all 6 forward gears. So let's do a hot fill. Not nearly warm enough yet. Okay. Sorry about the bleeps and bloops. Well, it goes backward, so that's good. God, this car is so huge. And it could really use a wash. Actually gonna put it in low. Get first gear. There's second. Third. I'll resume once we get to the street. All right, so first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and we're hustling, so I don't know if I really want to try for sixth, but I'm pretty sure it engaged sixth. Good. All the solenoids and things I did worked. That's a huge plus. Well, other than the airbag light turning on for supposedly a driver's side seatbelt receptacle, which is just so stupid, this thing is driving great. So I'm going to let it cool all the way down now. Then I'm going to do an engine oil change, and then we will top up the trans once more. But it was behaving itself, so I'm optimistic. Woohoo. All right, engine oil's done. Belly pan's back on for the first time in like 6 months. She's good to go. So glad that's done with. Rear left is definitely still dragging. No surprise after seeing the condition of those piston boots. Debating trying to see if I can get the caliper rebuild kits. I wasn't expecting the rears to be $52 a piece, including core, so we'll think about that. I'm not opposed to buying calipers for this thing. It's probably just not going to be a this year deal. After all the fuel system problems we've had in all the cars this spring, definitely trying to drain as many of these tanks as possible, even if it is just running around the complex a couple times, you know, time after time. So I don't know, I did put fuel in this spring, so it's pretty full. I may have to actually end up taking it on drives, and if I do that, I certainly don't want the brakes to drag. Brexit's still idling away. Yeah, I don't know, we'll see. The car's been really pretty solid since the manual swap, so I'm inclined to get it, you know, in better condition, in good enough shape to take it all the way back to my house anyway, potentially, and just have it live there. But that's 35 miles away.